A group called Empowered Citizens Network TV has taken it upon themselves to dissuade some African-American voters from voting for Obama. They have a series of ads with video and newspaper ads to that effect. Let's take a look at the video.
I have a major revelation for black Americans. It is a big lie that Democrats are for black Americans and Republicans are against black Americans. Abraham Lincoln, who freed the slaves, was a Republican. Republicans founded the NAACP. Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act while Democrats opposed it. Blacks can gain success and prosperity by voting out Obama and the Democrats and voting in the Republicans.
Empower Citizens Network is responsible for the content of this message.
I don't believe that there's a single African American who looked at that guy and said, I trust this guy. This guy looks like he's got my best interest in mind. And I love that they had to go back to the 1860s to find a Republican that was pro-black.
Yeah, and then the 1960s, which is, by the way, now unfortunately 52 years ago, 1960. So and without telling the full story about the Republicans and the Democrats there.
Oh, by the way, after the Civil Rights Act, the Republicans decided to do this little thing called the Southern Strategy, where they would try to get Southern racists to all vote Republican by hating black people. Did we leave that out of the ad?
Or that in 1948, during that, there were the Dixiecrats were formed. You know, the Democrats who favored the Old South. So, you know, anyway, we all know what's implicitly wrong with this ad. And man, I think that your point is best about it because they picked the wrong guy to say that. If they picked a different guy to say that, it may have been a more sadly effective ad.
Speaking of the people they picked, I like that they tried to make this as appealing as possible to African Americans. You have the serious looking, very serious sounding African American. And then for this ad is sponsored by, they have the whitest sounding voice I've ever heard in my life. This voice is blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
They made a mistake there.
Oh, come on now, vote for Mitt Romney. I say, pick up the phone and support Romney.
There's a banana in the tailpipe.
So, by the way, here's where they lost everybody. Even if you're going to do that ad, don't be stupid enough to put a cross, you know, an X over the president's face.
Right.
You're not going to win African-American voters by putting a big X over
that's
the first
also,
African-American president. True. That's so stupid, and I love the beginning of that, too. I have a major revelation for you. Turns out Republicans in the 1860s did not hate black people.
Republicans freed the slaves.
It's a Trump-style revelation. We have some info about the other ads that they've been running. They've spent almost $100,000, and going by the quality of that ad, they have not gotten their money's worth so far. But let's see, we have some quotes from Talking Points
Points
memo.
We got a good laugh out of it. So.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for us. One of the group's ads accuses Obama and Democrats of imploding the economy by forcing mortgage companies to lend to unqualified borrowers while the Soviet national anthem plays. So that's classy.
Okay, no, that's great. That's great. Because a lot of African Americans are worried that we're going to go back to the Soviet Union days.
Yeah.
And but they can't help but time travel. That's what the whole Republican Party is based on. Like, wouldn't it be great if we went back to 1955, right? So,
and today, Bart Starr, a hero of the 1950s Green Bay Packers team, endorsed Mitt Romney, spoke with him at a rally. So, I mean, you know, not only are there spokespeople, you had that 100-year-old Clint Eastwood up there with the empty chair at the convention. It's the same thing. Everything is old with the Republican Party.
And it's they're a caricature of themselves. I mean, if they went back any further in history, Barney Rubble would endorse Romney.
We have another this is the most condescending line. Listen to this. Another promises welfare recipients that Republicans can save your money source by reducing regulations on business. How condescending is that?
I know.
Save the business because you guys need them so bad so you can mooch off of them.
Yeah. The weird language about money source, and then the adopting the talking point of Republicans on like, you guys caused economic collapse in that first ad about the Soviet Union, etc. How does that help? You know, it's because they're not in the community.
Right.
They have no idea how to reach that community because they're not in it.
Yeah.
So and they never talk to anybody in that community.
They've never even made an effort, and I mean I think that's going to be the way that the postscript on this election, if it comes out the way I think it's going to be, is that the party's going to see not that they're too conservative, but they didn't make inroads into communities that they need to make inroads into, and they didn't try.
Now, to be fair to Romney, their polling has improved among African Americans. It used to be 96 to nothing.
Yeah.
But I think Romney's up to 5.5 points.
5.5 to
in the
92.
last point. Yeah. It's not that there's a surge or anything. It's just different polls.
No, it's right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Lincoln freed the slaves.
Okay. Oh, look at that,
fair.
92 to 5.5%. Okay.
He's
Romney
moved
with a run.
Yeah, if this campaign continues for another 4 or 5 years, I think he could catch up, actually.
I like how Poll Tracker couldn't even round up for him to 6.
And who's on? That leaves what, 2.5% for Nader?
Right.
No, the libertarian African Americans going for Gary Johnson.
Yeah.